Jasmine Taylor, CEO and founder of Baddies and Budgets. Welcome. Come on into my warehouse. Baddies and Budgets teaches women of color financial literacy through cash stuffing. I was broke, struggling in 2021, didn't really see any means to an end, just got out of college, and I just wanted to do something different. So I started checking out different styles of budgeting. None of them really worked for me until I came across cash stuffing, and it changed my life. So I started sharing online to keep myself accountable, and it took off. Used up my stimulus check that year to start the business, and it's been up ever since. My sister had passed away a couple years previous, and I was taking full-time care of my niece. We had just come through Christmas, and in order for me to get them anything, I had to use everything I had. And I came into the new year broke and I was tired of it. You just really get to a point where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I wanted them to have better and see better, so I had to be better. Cash stuffing is a way of managing your money by using strictly cash. You get your paycheck, you pull it out of the bank, and you cash stuff it into various envelopes. And it really helps people who have impulse issues, impulse spending, overspending issues, because you have to deal with your tangible cash, and you find it's a lot harder to spend than to swipe a card. I think I am the first in my family to be very financially literate as far as paying off debt and building wealth. I do try to hand it to the people that want to receive it, but it's really just me. Well, we started on TikTok. We were really heavy with customized budget binders then, because we were able to manage it in our house. So I had like 2 Cricuts in the house, and we were customizing budget binders. We eventually moved to savings challenges as we began to scale the business. And I think the one that took off for us first was the 100 envelope challenge. And it went viral several times, and so we started to realize that more and more people wanted savings challenges. So we started creating more. So I was then accepted into 1 Million Black Women, and there you're exposed to several mentors, and that was my first experience having someone to coach me along. The power of the numbers and the analytics in your business, and it empowering you to be able to move forward and make better buying decisions and keep the right products in stock for your customers. Logistics has been an interesting challenge. Being able to scale customizable products has been a big one for us. And sourcing products has been a big one for us. We had a tough time working from home and starting a home-based business, especially when you sell the amount of products we do. We had issues getting USPS to come do pickups and things like that. As far as customization, we found we had to cut it out because we couldn't scale it. And as far as logistics, it's just the rising costs of importing things from other countries. That's been a big burden on us. Sourcing, especially as we sell more of our larger printed products and our budget binders, importing things from China, it has its ups and downs. There have been times when boats have exploded and we lose products, or the ports get shut down and you have to wait months at a time for your products. So we're really hoping in the future to be able to make more things in-house. In the next 5 years, I see us doing more community-based things, being able to do more one-on-one coaching, group coaching with people in our community who really struggle to build a working budget, and to be able to get back to offering custom items for all of our customers that want it.
Jasmine, it's really good to be here with you today.
Thank you.
I follow you on social media and I love your relatability. I love how you understand your customer. I love how you work from a space of education and I understand where you are. How do you feel about how your audience receives how you reach them?
I think the relatability is our selling point. Most people who become lifelong members typically let me know that, hey, I could see myself in you, or I didn't know you were going through that too, or I see this and I assume this. I think the relatability aspect for Baddies and Budgets is really what sells us.
I think that's great. A lot of people life is lifing for a lot of people in this economy, albeit that there are pockets of the economy that are doing really, really well. But regular everyday folk are experiencing a lot of financial challenges right now. Are they sharing those types of things with you?
They do, and I think in a way the biggest discussion we have about how the middle class is almost changing, right? $100,000 a year doesn't go the same way it used to go, and a lot of people are struggling with the necessities, like even to buy groceries.
Yes.
For people that make six figures, they still struggle, like how can I get a lower grocery budget? So I just think in the times we're living in, everyone is affected that isn't ultra rich.
Do you think that it's going to take a considerable amount of sacrifice in order for people to survive this economic stretch that we're in?
I think to pull yourself out of the rat race, it always requires sacrifice. It takes doing something different than what we've always done and just being able to stick to something consistently.
And so let's talk about doing something different. From where you began and where you are now, you've made a lot of changes in your business, in your operation, but that didn't come easy for you, did it, Jasmine?
No, it didn't. I went from hand making almost everything that we sold to having to source most of the products we sell because it's not scalable to hand make all of your items. So it really has its challenges.
And so you had to learn, teach yourself all of the aspects of scaling and changing your business at the same time of maintaining a business when it is like really busy. That means you work sometimes 24/7, 365. You don't take days off, do you, Jasmine?
I think for the first 2.5 years, I worked every day, probably 12, 16 hours a day.
12, 16 hours a day, every day is a commitment. And that's also consistency, which is extremely important for small business owners to truly understand that this is not a game. It's not a hobby, and it takes up a lot of your time, which ultimately impacts your personal life and all of the things that are around you, but you stuck with it. Why?
When you start a business, you either have the money or the time. And we didn't have the money, so I had to sacrifice a lot of time to learn the things I needed to learn to grow my business.
And so did someone have to tell you that it's going to take this amount of time when you first started to do this, or you just said, I'm sick and tired and I'm going in?
You just jump into it and you're in it. I didn't have a coach, I didn't have anybody helping me through it. Once I saw success and that I could scale my business, I just did what it took, period.
And so I reviewed your data, looked at your numbers, really evaluated your operation, and I saw some things that, if she's going to scale, some of these things are going to have to change. Otherwise, you could potentially burn out because working 12 to 16 hour days, 365 days a year can take a toll on you, whether it is your health or physical. It could take a toll on your body. And do you think about what am I going to change and how am I going to change? What are those three areas?
In the long term, a lot of the things we sell wouldn't scale. So over the course of the last 6 to 12 months, we've been rebranding and changing a lot of our products so that they can be scaled. We launched a planner because anybody can use a planner, and it's easy to get that into stores or to buy that in bulk or to even print that here if we get the equipment. But a lot of things like certain custom items is not something that we can do long term. I'd need 15 people in here and the overhead would just be insane. So we've had to learn to stick with the items that we know that we can sell long term.
So some of the challenges that you have are sourcing. If you're not going to customize yourself in-house, you got to use a third party. And that's a little bit risky and it's a little bit scary because you're putting your livelihood in the hands of someone else. And not to mention internationally. So tell me a little bit about those challenges that you're facing.
It goes smooth until it doesn't. For example, our very first planner, we spent about $25,000 from beginning to end to get it here. They showed up after being on the boat for 35 days and everything had fallen apart. We were opening box after box and they were ruined. And it's not like I can just hit return to sender when it was $13,000 to ship it here. So we had to find a solution in town to rebind the planners. And so little things like that happen. We've also had issues where things get stuck at the port or they shut the ports down. That's not something you can control as a business owner. So, we have months where things go smooth and they come through great, but anything can happen when you're importing. There are lots of fees, dumping taxes, things that you don't really understand as a new business owner, and then you get a bill for $4,000 because you imported pins and there's an anti-dumping tax. So, it has its ups and downs.
Yeah, it does. And the discovery through hard knocks, essentially, can be very costly. And if you are not managing from the finance perspective and not tracking your profit margins and looking at whether or not you have room for any type of mistakes or risks, or even having insurance to cover it, those things could wipe you out. And so moving forward, what are some of the things that you plan to do to try and fix those things?
We're looking into producing more things in-house that will require buying bigger equipment to keep here, printers and such like that, and just also educating myself on import fees and taxes. Like, it's a whole beast. And it's a lot to understand, but we've learned through our last import that they have refunds available. So if you import something and you don't sell them all, they'll refund you for what's left over. It's just a lot of learning and then a lot of investing a lot of our profit into more equipment so that we can do more things in-house.
That's a good idea. Do you think that that is going to save you money in the long run, bringing it back to the U.S. to produce?
I don't think of it in terms of saving me money, but it'll definitely make me a lot more.
Okay, gotcha. So bringing it in-house will remove the risk of you not receiving the right product or the holdup that is caused by variables that are out of your control, but it gives you more control and the opportunity to generate more revenue.
Yes, and we also have more control over the quality, which can oftentimes be an issue with importing, especially from countries like China, where sometimes you get a good batch and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, that is very concerning for small businesses because any little hiccup, as I mentioned, can take you out. And if you are not prepared for that, and you don't know, sometimes you don't know who to turn to ask, right? So let's talk about, you mentioned customization. Customization, in my experience, is expensive because of the cost associated with individual changes, enhancements to products. Are you looking to customize every single thing that you do for individual customers, or what's your thoughts on that?
So with our budget binders in particular, budgeting and finances are so personal. So we can only get so in depth with categories as far as variable spending for most people. So to bring back the offer of whatever it is you're saving for, we can customize that for you. Instead of just having a dog's fund, you could put Pinky because that's my dog. So just to offer a little more customization to make the customers feel more like this is mine is really our goal.
So I've seen companies who do that on a large scale. So if you're able to bring it back internal and minimize the options of customization, that would allow you to have more favor with your customers, you think?
It would, and it would allow us to take current inventory and we can just change the cover of it. Instead of having to reorder an entirely new binder with an entirely new design, we can change it here.
Got it. I understand. So actually that's pretty smart because you get to repurpose something that you already have to make it more relevant to your customers.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And so let's talk about long-term plans for Baddies and Budgets. And as we mentioned before, you work really hard. People don't know how hard you work on the back end, because sometimes people think influencers, their life is easy, it just came to them. This didn't just come to you.
Yeah.
You had to work for it.
Yeah.
And so as you look forward to long-term plans for the company, how sustainable is the operation as it is today?
I'd say we're about 50% there. We are, like I mentioned, we're moving forward with items that we can sustain, that we can create, that don't take 5 people to make, but it's a change that you have to make over time. You can't just throw everything away and start over from scratch, but we're getting there. Because I watched a podcast once and he said sometimes entrepreneurs just create a job for themselves. You're a solopreneur, you don't own a business yet. And so the goal is to hopefully hire more people so that I can step away and just be the face of the brand. And the things that happen in here, I don't have to have my hand in quite as much.
I think that's a great strategy. I often talk to people about hustling and building an enterprise. And there's a difference between the two. And hustling, you do what you have to do in order to make the dollar, in order for you to survive, right? But building an enterprise requires processes, systems, people, finance. There's so much more to the operation. And so in order for you to step away, what are the things that you think you need to work on?
The things you talked about. So we've worked on creating SOPs so that when I hire someone, I don't have to be in here for 4 weeks teaching you how to go through our system. I can hand you this pamphlet and you can get hired and go. It's the small things. It's all in the details. Really, SOPs, I think, have been the thing that we focused on the most. This is how we ship items out. This is how we pack orders. This is how we customize. And that's really worked well for us so far.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Do you think you'll be doing this 20 years from now?
I think I will still be a part of Baddies and Budgets, but I hope for it to evolve into more of a community where we're not as reliant on the physical products, but more on the digital aspect, more courses, more webinars, more speaking engagements, things like that, where you can impact more people. I can only sell so many of a thing, but if I can get somewhere with you in the room, I can really help you to understand basic financial literacy.
So as we look at your future and we look at your past and where you've come from, you talk a great deal about gratitude for where you are today, which is really important. I think I'm a firm believer in the expression of gratitude for what we have. But then I'm also a firm believer in balance as well. And so balance is really important. And when you work as hard as you do to build an enterprise, it's the sacrifice that you have to make. What if life changes for you? What if you decide, I do want to be married in the future, or I do want to travel more, or like you want to step away. Are you planning for those things, or you're like, nah, I'm good. Let me work. Let me stay in this place.
I have those thoughts often, and so I take a lot of what I pay myself and I invest into my retirement so that I can become work optional a lot sooner. Because things fluctuate, things change, and especially with businesses who are so social media heavy, the tides are always changing. So that's always a worry in the back of my head is, I saw they're going to close down TikTok. So that will impact thousands of businesses. And so I just try to invest more in my own future so that when the time comes, if I want to do this, it's because I want, not because I have to.
That's a great point. I think that many entrepreneurs really don't think about that when they're starting their business. They either left their job on purpose or they left their job because they had to, and they have to figure out what they're going to do, so they start their own business without having the knowledge and how to run a business. And some of them get stuck in the have to. And then they realize, I'm not happy doing this, even though it's my business. They've created something that doesn't create them joy for them. And sometimes no joy, no wealth, which can be a trap almost. And so are you happy? Are you truly happy in what you're doing?
So I've had my ups and downs, right? There, you get to a point where you work so hard for so long and burnout happens. It doesn't matter who you are.
True.
I'm a person who also suffers with mental health. So I've had breakdowns. I've had a full on, I can't come out the house for a week. And so I've learned to go hard when I can and, allow myself space to be me when I can. Balance is so important, but it's not. Balance for entrepreneurs isn't the same as everyone else.
That's right.
It's not, I have to take off every weekend. I have to, especially for women of color, you can't take your foot off the gas. If stuff is happening for you,
Yes.
you've got to stick with it, because who knows when that time will pass and your opportunity is gone.
Yes.
So you have to find balance in the times when you can.
Yes.
So when things are slow, take some time off, but you don't do that when things are happening and moving for your business. I'm not missing money.
No. I think that's excellent advice. Because I talk often about how we can become overwhelmed and we want to quit because it's too much. We don't have the luxury sometimes of quitting. And what I've seen as I've watched you and I evaluated your growth and seen what you've been able to build on your own, the one thing you didn't do is quit. And I know how hard that can be, and what it takes not to give up when you're like, if one more bad thing happens to me, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
You know, and it seems like it happens more so to women-owned, minority women-owned businesses more so than others, because of all of the societal challenges that we face, right? And so when we look at your growth and where you're going next, focusing on logistics and focusing on sourcing and making sure that you have multiple vendors and suppliers that you can call on, whether domestic or international, so that your business isn't disrupted, and then bringing in some of the work internally into your operation here in your beautiful facility are key areas that I think will work for you. So, Jasmine, my partners and I have capital that we would like to grant to you in order to help pay for equipment that would allow you to be able to print and manufacture your products internally, to help support your growth strategy. And we truly believe in what you're doing and how you're inspiring other people, which I think is really what you're all about.
Yeah.
And so we really wanted to be able to support in a small way and help you get that equipment that you're looking for.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. That is so dope.
You are so welcome. It's my pleasure. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
On the next payoff.